Welcome back to those of you still with us, and hello and welcome to those joining us now in this next session on the first day of NXT 2026. We have with us an extremely special guest who's a member of the House of Lords, United Kingdom, Lord Bhiku Parekh. He's also 91 years old, so let's have a loud round of applause to him. We're getting a lot of energy from you still, sir. Let me begin by just asking you, as our panel theme, of course, is on Gandhian philosophy. How much has the Gandhian philosophy influenced you in your life, in your learnings, and also in the service that you have done as a public representative in the United Kingdom? You, of course, come from the land of Gandhi yourself. You were born in Gujarat, now, of course, in the United Kingdom. How much has Gandhian philosophy influenced you?
Well, it's almost like telling your autobiography in public. And I don't think I'm that distinguished or that important. But I would say that Gandhi was peculiar in many ways. Having done my own work as any ex-colonial would on the Western political thought for 35 years, I turned to Gandhi just as a matter of interest. And he found myself gripped by him. I was struck by the fact that he was not only a man of thought and action, as is the common practice, but the man for whom thought was action and action was thought. That he couldn't think about anything without wanting to put it into practice. If an idea came to him, his first question was, is it something worth putting into practice? And if it is it going to be of any benefit to mankind? If it is, right, we can proceed with it. Likewise, with the action he's contemplating, it provokes a series of thoughts, and he would theorize about them, whether he was fasting or doing any other things. So here was a man who was at once a man of both thought and action, and I was particularly intrigued by the way in which he combined his thought and his action, and in a very complicated kind of way. So that's how the Gandhi book emerged.
Let me also ask you a bit about, how you are carrying on that philosophy into action on ground there. You're, of course, the Vice President, I think, of the Gandhi Foundation there in the United Kingdom. You're also associated with other trusts and foundations as well. How is this philosophy, these thoughts influencing your action on ground there through the work this foundation does and through the work that you do as a public representative?
I mean, how did it affect me personally?
Yes, and what, how has it influenced the work that you're doing on ground as well?
Well, I mean, Gandhi is a strange figure. When he grips you, he grips you very profoundly. You can't get rid of him. And in my case, Gandhi became quite important, not so much as a model for political action, but rather as a model for a thinker who was in constant touch with the masses, with his own people, and embarked upon a series of actions. So Gandhi for me was significant at that level. And as I engaged with his thought, I found myself getting engaged with his action. And there are one or two very interesting ways in which he locates democratic discourse. That in a democratic discourse we are concerned to understand each other. Discourse is not merely about talking. It's about getting to the truth behind what the other person is saying. So for him, every person grasps reality, truth in a particular way. No one knows the full truth, or no one ever will grasp it. Therefore, your life is a journey, as Gandhi put it, from truth to truth. From limited aspect of truth that you will grasp to increasing contact with others with different points of view, and in the process of interaction with those others, you acquire deeper insight into truth.
Yes.
Now, if you accept that, then it leads to a very interesting theory of political action and liberal democracy. And here he goes beyond John Stuart Mill and Tocqueville and other liberals.
Yes.
Why? Sorry. You want to say something?
Yes, I want to quickly interject there because I also want to ask you about the Gandhian philosophy applicability in the world of today. In the world of today, we are of course seeing multiple conflicts raging. From the Middle East, that we're seeing right now, the war in Iran. We're also of course seeing the war in Ukraine continue. There's also of course a war that we've seen between Afghanistan and Pakistan, which also is continuing. So multiple conflicts raging, of course, and violence. What can the world of today learn from the Gandhian philosophy, and does the world of today need another Mahatma Gandhi?
Well, first of all, when I was in the audience listening to the proceedings of the day, I was a bit struck by the fact that the speeches were a little too loud, and I found it very difficult to concentrate. I decided that when I came to the platform, I shall follow your advice and go rather slowly so that you can hear what I have to say, rather than simply feel that you are being shouted at. Now, in Gandhi's case, the journey from truth to truth is the history of liberal democracy. Liberalism has its limits. It believes it has grasped the truth. The liberty is the central value. There is no other. People who don't live liberal, according to liberal principles are benighted, and so on. Gandhi would have nothing to do with it. Liberal outlook simply means concentrating on a dialogue between persons of different points of view. And from that dialogue, that encounter, emerges a discourse, a shared discourse which you share in the course of talking to each other. And that's why Gandhi's theory, his theory of political action, is called satyagraha. That he says that in life, as in any other area of politics, you need to be able to stand up for your truth, accept whatever punishment is meted out to you, but stand firm for what you believe to be truth, and let the truth in you encounter the truth in the other person. And from that discourse, for which enough public space is made, from that discourse will emerge the beginning of something really interesting, new, and more important, truer.
You've stood for multiculturalism throughout your life. In fact, it's often referred to as the Parekh model as well of multiculturalism. You're one of the most respected theorists as well in cultural diversity, and your writings, of course, and views are much, celebrated and even inspirational today for thinkers and students. What has inspired your theory of multiculturalism, and how relevant is it even in the world of today that we live in, where often there are those who try and fight against multiculturalism sometimes?
Well, multiculturalism to me is the doctrine of the day. There is no salvation beyond it. And if you look at the way the world is moving, it is moving in a multicultural way. Let me explain, because it's a long story. I have written a big book published by Harvard University Press on rethinking multiculturalism. So I accept multiculturalism, but also the need to rethink some of its values. The basic idea is what Gandhi has practiced, what I have been advocating. Gandhi, for example, look at this man, Gandhi. He is a Hindu. He finds Hinduism inadequate in many ways. So he encounters Christianity and borrows a lot of ideas from Christianity. He goes a little further and then sees modern science and so on. So here is a man who is a Hindu, who is a Muslim, who is a Christian. Having borrowed ideas from all of these, he produces a multicultural political theory. Gandhi, to me, is a patron saint of multiculturalism because he is able to become an embodiment of different cultures. And Gandhi is, to me, a site, a space where different cultures are played out. And that's what saved India at the time. Otherwise, India could have gone the way of any other country at independence. The next question that you were asking me was, how relevant is it today? My answer is, it is. Because for the simple reason that in the age of globalization, different cultures interact, come into contact with each other. They can only survive if they live in peace. And the question ultimately is, how is it possible for two cultures to live in peace, to coexist without any kind of conflict? And that's what multiculturalism offers, that you are able to understand the other person in his own terms before you jump to a quick conclusion. And that, if I may say so, it becomes quite important. Gandhi would say, if you look at a Muslim wearing a veil and you become very critical, of course you can become critical if you want to, but first find out why is she wearing the veil, what is the meaning of that action. Similarly, I may take a different example, civil code in India, and how different communities are allowed different customs. And all that would indicate, or to take a very simple example, but from a different walk of life, when I was chairman of the Commission for Racial Equality, we found that in medical schools in India, Indian students generally tended to be rejected. Why? And we found out eventually that whenever they were interviewed, they were looking away from the interviewer, because this is the Indian way of showing respect. In an interview, if you look straight at somebody, that means arrogance. Indian students wouldn't do that. But all the interviewers, trained in their own culture, said, oh, this guy is shifty, invariably a failure. So this goes to show that even at the practical level, apart from philosophical level, multiculturalism is the only key to life.
How nice, sir. And that's a good piece of advice that Lord Parekh has given to all those prospective job seekers as well. Because there are a lot of youngsters who are also in the audience today who will be job seekers. So that's a very good point of view that you've given them. I thank you so much, Lord Parekh, for your time. And those who want to know more about his life, well, here's his book as well, an autobiography called Talking Politics, Bhiku Parekh in conversation with Ramin Jahang Biglu. I'll encourage you all to read this as well. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you
Lord
very much
Parekh,
for joining us.
Thank you for your time, Uday. Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure that you could take out time.